Okay, cool. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's better. I'm
hi, how
alright.
are
How
you
are
doing?
you?
Excellent. Thank you for your time. Thank
Thank
you for
you.
everything. So yeah, we want to talk about yoga, your life, your experiences with yoga. Tell me about that.
So got introduced to yoga, or really started practicing yoga in 2020 during lockdown.
Yeah.
So yeah, so I
Mm.
generally do pole dancing. So during lockdown, there was no studios open at the time. Geez, I'm seeing my people join. Hey, Bali. Hey, for me.
Yeah.
But anyway, so yeah, so during
Yeah.
lockdown, I wanted to work on my flexibility, and then I started doing some yoga online, a lot of content on
Yeah.
on YouTube rather, and then I think from there on, so it was more for my flexibility to help supplement my pole training. But I've since then like fallen in love with the practice. I've gained more than just physical benefits, I guess, of like
Yeah.
being flexible. So that's when I then thought and considered maybe taking it a step further. And then this year I went to India where I did a yoga teacher training course to become an instructor. And yeah, so that's sort of my journey in a nutshell.
Mm. And how's your experience with yoga contributed to your career though?
Um, it's helped me go more in inward looking in life. So yeah, so I think
Mm.
it has helped me do a lot of introspection work, and also just to see if it sort of brought a lot of things into surface where I think not just in work but in
Yeah.
everything it's encouraged a life of more intentionality, and being present. And what it has done for me is again an appreciation for the present moment. And so making sure that, like, how do I
Mm.
make each moment joyful? How do I make each moment meaningful, as opposed to always looking at happiness as something that that I reserve for a later time um, in the future, or in certain things. But you can actually find joy, you can find peace, you can find purpose in, like, in the little things, in the mundane, in the day to day. So what that has done is help me try to live each day with like more purpose, and again with how do I put it, so basically trying to make sure that
Mm.
I do something that brings me joy each and every single day.
Yeah. The I mean, like, I see you're always busy on your Instagram, like, doing the the polo polo vibes. Just didn't want to go get into that, but yeah, how's that? Looks like you're more engaged in that.
Oh, okay. Sorry, can you repeat the question?
I mean, I see you busy with the polo on your Instagram.
Oh, oh
Yeah,
no,
how's that
that's
going?
going very well. So currently I'm a pole dance instructor at a studio in Edenvale, and also in Kempton Park. So yeah,
Yeah.
so that's one of the things that I really do enjoy, and I do in my spare time.
Mm. Uh, That's great. I'm more interested about the yoga, the yoga lifestyle, and people tend to say it's for other people, like specifically white people. You know what I mean? Yeah. The flexibility with yoga. Do you really need a specific age? What are you comfortable with teaching?
Sheesh, that was that was a very loaded question. Do you mind just like breaking it down for me so that I can address each aspect?
Uh, I was saying, um, I was saying. is it more important on the age, or what are you comfortable teaching
Oh,
in
okay,
the
cool,
yoga
cool.
industry?
No, so yoga
Yeah.
is a way of life, the way I see it, and it
Mm-hmm.
includes all ages, all races. So with yoga is everybody. I think if you move, you're doing some form of yoga, right? So um, yeah, so it
Yeah.
has what they call, so the different poses are called asanas. So in yoga they'll call a pose asana. So like I'm trying to think of a pose that everybody does, like maybe squat, right? If it's a low squat, then that will be called a yogic squat. But they also have like it's Sanskrit, so like the Indian language, the origin name, right? A lunge also has is it's part of an
Yeah.
asana. It's also an asana. It's a type of asana. So anyone can practice yoga at any given age. I don't have preferences. Like anyone is interested in the practice, and then I offer
Yeah.
services to everyone. So I don't have like any specific ages. And the nice thing about yoga is, or exercise in any case, is that there's different variation to a workout. So there's always different progressions. So you can always have a a progression that works for someone who's completely new, and then you can have with the similar
Mhm.
asana have a progression that's more advanced. So you can make it challenging and you can make it either more challenging or less challenging. So you have to constantly be mindful of the people that you are, like if I'm facilitating a yoga session, I need to be mindful of each and every individual, but also you as an individual who's receiving the practice, you also need to be very mindful, and yoga
Yeah.
teaches and encourages that a lot, for you to be very mindful of your body and your movement and what you're capable of on that particular day. And also it encourages that, like it also teaches you that
Mhm.
not all days are the same. So today, if let's say we doing a flexibility asana or pose, and I can get into the full, let's say
Yeah.
split. I'll use a split as an example. I get into a full split, but tomorrow I can't get into it. So I need to be constantly aware as someone who
Mm.
practice, who's receiving the practice, not to force myself into positions, and just be mindful of my body, what it can do on each day. And not all days are the same, not all moments are the same. We change every, like every day, you keep changing. So yeah.
Mm. When did you discover? You sound like a passionate person. You're really passionate about yoga lifestyle, you know. When did you realize that you had a passion of teaching or instructing other people?
I would say maybe, I think about a year in, but I think even at the beginning, when I started falling in love with the practice, I strongly believe that if you can teach, like the best way to learn is to teach, or the best way that you can know that you fully grasp a concept or anything, a practice, a
Mm.
concept, if you're able to impart the knowledge, then I personally believe that's how I learn more. I learn by teaching. So I get to learn more because
Yeah.
the nice thing about being a teacher or an instructor is that you're not just only working with, like, you're not only exposed to a single limitation, right? So if I'm doing the practice myself, I'm
Yeah.
only exposed to my own limitations and it ends there,
Mm.
versus if
Yeah.
I'm now teaching,
Right.
right? Someone else will, something that comes easy to me, maybe comes, it's a little bit more challenging. So I need to find a way, oh,
Mhm.
okay, cool. How's another way of getting into it? And it's always like trial and error. So in those moments of trial and error, um, working with someone who has a different body to yours, different history to you, that's how
Yeah.
you actually get to learn even more. So that's why I decided to go take it a step further, as opposed to just me practicing yoga, but now me becoming one who teaches the practice as well, because then I get to learn more about the practice. So I'm using that, like the teaching platform, actually as another way to get in-depth knowledge and in-depth understanding of the practice. Mhm.
Yeah. Do you feel, do you think, like, what advice do you have for me? Because I've always been interested in doing yoga, but I feel like it's gonna take me a while to be flexible as a basketball player, as an athlete also, Uh, how long does it take you
But
to be flexible?
so okay, cool. So flexibility has different spectrums. There's different levels. So I think it's
Yeah.
not just about flexibility. So what yoga does is, like I said, it creates awareness about the body, right? How you move. And so if you're an athlete, my what I would say, or how to get you into the practice, is not about like being flexible, but really getting that mind body connection, that body awareness, to learn how to move and how to also restore your body.
Okay.
So how, because even stretching or warming up, there's like a lot of asanas or poses, like I said in yoga, they call them asanas, that you will use when you're warming up, and also that you would use to cool down, to stretch your body,
Mm.
right? So that's where you would have to start. So it's not necessarily like, oh my god, flexibility as how we all like to imagine it, like getting splits or doing crazy things with your bodies, but it's about getting your muscles to be
Yeah.
more mobile, so that when you're training, be it with whether you're lifting, whether you're doing athletics, or any kind of sports, um, it helps you
Mm.
move in a way that you can protect your body to avoid injuries, or you can find ways to heal your body to avoid the injury even going any further. So it's also very healing. So again, it's not just limited to flexibility, it's
Yeah.
really knowing how to move your body, how to, if you're squatting with weights, how to squat in the right way. How do you prepare your body for a squat, number one? And when you're squatting, how do you squat right?
Yeah.
And post the squat, so you're having leg days, what do you do then to help your body recover and heal and restore itself from the intensity that you and the stress that you've put it through? So I think, as an athlete, to answer your question, is I would encourage you, as someone who's probably prone to injuries, um, to then start practicing yoga to again avoid injuries, or so that you can do whatever your exercises in the correct forms, again to avoid injuries, and for recovery as well, to help facilitate, because you want to have a quicker recovery so that you can continue to perform at your best. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So is it more of a mental
It's
game or
both.
physical game?
It's both. Your body and your mind are one.
Hmm.
Like, they're not different. So they isn't. Yeah. So we like thinking
Yeah.
in silos. Like, I've got my mental, I've got my physical, I've got my spiritual. But you are you are everything, right?
Yeah.
So the mental, the spiritual needs a body to experience this life, but the body also needs the mental to be able to navigate. When I say I'm going to stand up, and if you say to me, if I say to you, stand up, if
Mm.
so, I'm cueing you, I'm facilitating a yoga session with you, and I say, get on your feet. That's like you receiving the information mentally, but you're moving physically. So I think that's the other thing that yoga does, and
Mm.
plays a lot of great emphasis on, that is that everything is one. Everything is one. So you,
Yeah.
mind, body, spirit is one. You and the tree, you are one. You and someone else. So we all one, essentially, just manifesting in different ways, or just different expressions. So it's everything. It's not mainly mental, it's not mainly physical. I think what draws people into yoga might be different reasons. So for some people, like myself, might be for a physical reason, but
Yeah.
then I realize the more I practice, that it's actually more than just physically being able to get splits or prevent injuries, but it's actually, yeah, it's all encompassing. And some people do it for the mind, because you can use
Look.
yoga um, as a tool to manage
Yeah.
stress. Mm.
Mm. How can we involve a positive mind or positive
How do you?
world in with yoga? how can we how can we involve positive energy around yoga in the world?
Sheesh. I don't know. I think it's almost there. The only thing that I would say is lacking is maybe not enough Black people practicing yoga. But I think everybody has
Yeah,
is. Hmm.
I think as I said, a lot of people can define yoga as as for white people, you know, like we don't not gonna do that. So yeah, you
But
can
can I
continue.
ask you then, like, what is it about you that makes you feel that it's just for white people and therefore you're not going to do it?
I mean, like a lot of people, a lot of black people really think it's like that. It's not my opinion. I love yoga, yeah, but I'm just saying from other people, yeah. But I don't necessarily look at it as for
Mm.
white people, you know. It's meant for
Okay, cool.
humans.
No, no, no. So I think it's just seeing more people of color doing it. Yes, it is still very much predominantly um, quite European, even though it's an actually originally an Indian
Yeah.
practice. It is still very. Sorry about that. Sorry. Okay. So it is still like yeah. So but then I always say, like, in these spaces, if you feel like you're the only Black person that's in the space, then you have to be like, it's okay. You have to be there, and then you start inviting more people and create awareness. So that's the
Yeah.
only way that it would gain that popularity within our communities, where it's not just reserved for a
Mm.
certain people, but everybody. It's a practice that is
Yeah.
beneficial for a lot of people. We still have some way, but there's a lot of like brown yogis now. But yeah, it's still very much
Mm.
quite European. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for making it clear because a lot of people be thinking like, yeah, it's meant for certain people. But I
Yeah,
mean,
but I
guys,
think
come on,
I,
let's
I
enjoy
think
the
it's just
moment,
been
you know
like
what I
that with a
mean?
lot of things, and I think it's been our
Yeah.
responsibility as people when we get exposed to these things to again make
Mm.
them accessible to other people and create awareness amongst Black people. But I mean, it's a lot of things. Like, I know during the
Mm.
times when when I was growing up, being working out or people running in the street is something that you would see mostly white people doing. And but
Yeah.
now it's like when I drive in the streets, I see a lot of Black people running. I see a lot of Black people. The gym I go to, I see a lot of Black people that go to the gym. So I think we're getting there. Like, little by little, we're getting there. And I think we can't do everything at once, especially given our history as Black people. Like, we can't now all of a sudden, like, we
Yeah.
are everywhere. It will take time. And yeah, but I think for me, that's
Yeah.
why my biggest encouragement is also, like, even if you're the only Black person in the room, and you just have to stick it through, and and don't let
Mm.
that deter you, because someone else is going to see you and be like, oh, okay, I didn't know you could do this. And it's like, oh, wow, I didn't know this is what it entailed. And then you invite people also, like,
Yeah.
don't want to be the only person out there, but actually invite other people and create awareness whenever you're going to whatever spaces. And then eventually, like, things will start getting more popular and gaining momentum. We will start seeing more gyms in the townships, in the rural areas. We'll see more yoga studios in the
Mm.
townships and in in the in the rural areas as well.
Mm. Let's talk about forms of meditation. Yeah, in yoga.
The forms of meditation.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sheesh, I'm not sure I understand the question. So I think what I can maybe say, what I understood your meditation to be. And again, that's also like, I'm not saying what
Yeah.
I'm saying is like the end all be all is the truth, but how I interpreted it, it's basically, so meditation is a tool where you try to quieten your mind. So In yoga, they speak about monkey mind. So we have about 70,000 different thoughts in a day, and most of them are involuntary. So there's a lot of thoughts running through our minds, and then most of them are just involuntary, and it's things that, and most of them are also quite repetitive, so it's like you're stressing about the same thing, you're thinking about the same things that you were yesterday and the day before, so with yoga, with meditation, the practice of meditation is to first make you become aware of the thoughts that are going through your mind, right? It encourages you also to not judge. After you've made that observation, don't judge a thought as good or bad, or it's a good or a bad, or like, oh my god, my mind is all over, it's so terrible. But just to be like, oh, okay, cool, I'm noticing that I have lots of thoughts running through my mind, and most of them are not even voluntary, like they're just coming, I'm supposed to do one thing, I'm supposed to be talking to you right now, but all of a sudden now I'm thinking about something else. So I'm undivided, I'm not being present in the moment, right? Because I'm so preoccupied. I'm either thinking about the past or I'm thinking about the future. So I'm either thinking about what happened yesterday and how I didn't want it to happen, or I'm thinking about what am I going to eat, later in the evening, but we're not really present. So you become aware of that. That's the first step. And then you start noticing the types of thoughts that are flowing through. And then you use meditation to try quieten your mind, right? And again, it's not to, even if what you get in your meditation session is just literally becoming aware of the thoughts that are running through your head, that's enough. Like, because I know personally for me, I struggle. I was like, why is my mind not becoming still? Why, always, so instead of really being in the moment, I'm just always fighting and grappling because I've already judged it as a good or a bad thing, right? I've judged it as a bad thing, as opposed to saying like, no, just observe yourself and say, okay, this is where I am. So, so with meditation, and then eventually you maybe, as you catch a thought, right? So sometimes you catch a thought and you find that, because ultimately, so it's yoga, and a lot of I want to say a lot of philosophies believe that your thoughts, what you think is what, like as a man thinketh, so is he, right? So your thoughts create your personality. So what you think creates your personality, it creates your reality, right? So then you, as you observing these minds, so as
That's
you
deep, eh?
observing what's going through your mind, you start thinking like, is that thought serving me? Or is it taking me a step back, right? So I want to be a great businesswoman, but I have these thoughts that create self-doubt, right? That say like, oh, but I don't know, like I don't know, whatever. So it's what meditation does. You start becoming aware of what's really happening in your mind, right? And then now you also, with practice, you start getting to a point where you can now, as you catch a particular thought, and if it's not serving you, you just acknowledge, it's like, okay, thank you, but you don't serve me, and change, try to change your thought, if that makes sense. So catch yourself when you're having those self-limiting thoughts, and catch yourself, and try to change it. But in yoga, in the meditation, the highest state is samadhi, which is basically a state of nothingness. Like, the objective for a lot of I think gurus, it's basically to get to a point where you can just be present, and you're not thinking about the past, you're not thinking about the future, you're just in this particular moment, and you actually have nothing. Like, that's the highest state of meditation or mental state, which a lot of us don't really have. And that's also okay. I think what we were taught is that it's also okay. It's it's for, like, you, if you get there, that's great, but if not, that's also okay. The most important thing is, like, you want to get into the habit of thinking thoughts that are self-serving, that are serving to you, and also serving to the, like, the basically the entire universe, or like your surroundings, the people around you, you know. So basically becoming a better version of yourself. So feeling your mind and your thoughts and what you think must be something that's beneficial to you and those
Yeah.
around you.
When are you hosting? Do you have any event planned? Yeah, we can't wait to be extracted
No,
with you.
not at the moment. No, I
Yeah,
don't have
you have
any
one.
events lined up yet. Yeah, but I'll let you know if I do post it.
Oh no. Yeah, please do. Yeah. Um, so word of advice to people that think yoga is not for black people. Yeah. What's the word of advice to people that want to enjoy and have
Um,
yoga? Nearly said about life.
I think anything in life, if just give it a try, you know, just try it out. I think don't
Yeah,
bash anything, you know. I always say like don't try something once and say it's not for me. There's things that yes, definitely you do have
mm,
a personal conviction in it. You shouldn't force yourself to be in situations again, especially if it's not beneficial for you. But there's a lot of things that I think, and it's not just yoga. In life, if you're always going to be closed off and saying,
yeah,
I think this is not for me, this is for certain people, then it really cheats
mm,
you from really
mm,
fully experiencing life in its truest form, right? And fully like just getting yourself immersed in life. And I think we're not like the one thing that is certain is death, right? We're all gonna die, and you don't want. I
mm,
personally, for me, I don't want to be um, in a position where it's like there's so many things that I haven't really allowed myself to fully experience. There's a reason why I'm on Earth, particularly, you know, and I think there's a reason why everybody's
yeah,
on Earth, and you know, it's always great to just
mm,
immerse yourself fully in what this experience, this like worldly experience has to offer, you know. So even with yoga, if you see it, especially a lot of times, I think sometimes if you like once you start seeing something and it starts appearing a lot of times, uh, then just give it a shot.
yeah,
Go for 1, 2, 3 classes, check stuff online. It's going to be very different, very difficult for the first time, you know, when you do it, understanding the way they say
yeah,
things, understanding a lot of things, how to move your body. It's going to be weird and it's going to be difficult. But like with everything in life, you know, I always say you can't, no one, if you know how to drive, no one got in the car the first time, moved the car, and they got it right. You know, there's a lot of failing where,
mm,
especially if you're learning with a manual car, you start and then it's like it stops, and then it's like you have to start again and start and stop. So, and that's the process that
yeah,
takes time and a lot of repetition. So I always say like anything really, just give it a shot, give it a try. Put yourself in spaces, try something new, try something different, like every week if possible. Just say like, okay, what's the one thing I haven't done? So if you haven't done yoga yet or tried it out, give it a shot, you know, just try it out for like a month. And the nice thing is there's a lot of content on YouTube, you know, um, that you can get.
yeah,
So yeah, so go on YouTube, Google YouTube yoga for whatever, just yoga for beginners. Try it for a month, you know, even if it's once a week, a month, see how it goes. And then yeah, so that's my encouragement. But it's not just with yoga, with anything really. Just try something different, you know, do something a little, you know, do things differently every now and then,
yeah,
like just shock your system. Don't do the usual. Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
it's
It's
very
necessary.
necessary. And the thing is like when you learn something, so every time you learn something new, be it exercise, language,
Mm,
anything, it's actually good for
mm,
your brain cells. Like it's beneficial for your brain, so you stand to benefit in
yeah,
any case. So even if you try yoga and 6 months down the line you decide actually I don't like it, don't think 6 months down the line and look back and say like I regret it, I didn't benefit, it was a waste of time. The fact that you were learning to move your
Mm.
body differently and learning different vocabs, because then they'll be talking about down dog, pigeon pose, a three-legged down dog. You know, all of this new information that you're getting is
Yeah.
it still benefits you. So at the end of the 6 months, you definitely will be a different person than you would have been before you had started.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, Katli. Thank you so much,
Thank
Katli,
you.
for being on the live, and
Thank you,
I appreciate
KJ.
your time. All right.
Bye.
Yeah. All
Okay, you're
right.
welcome.
Thank
Thank
you so much,
you.
eh?
Bye.
Bye.